Hi, how's it going? This is Resident of Colwyn, and I'm here to review John Philip Betancourt's continuing blog series, The Return of Dark Shadows. Well, Series 11, Chapter 10, All Good Things. And, they say you save the best for last, and this to me is amazing. I would say it is the best in a lot of ways. But for all its heartfelt goodbyes, he leaves you with a mind blowing new beginning. And a lot of these characters, for anyone who heard my interview with John last night, a lot of these characters have just been through so much, all of them. Maggie, Carolyn, Sebastian, Siobhan. I'm finally going to pronounce that girl's name right after all this goddamn time. Um, Lord. And I don't know what that was. But, Barnabas, Curtis, even Angelique, and even though Angelique has caused some of this stuff, and a lot of the things that have been building up all wrap up in this chapter. I mean, you have Alexandra, who's also been through some stuff, receiving Angelique's power. You have Curtis and Angelique who are in love, and they are together, and you have Barnabas and Angelique who come to you know an understanding of each other, after Barnabas is brought back. And it's so many things. And Siobhan, am I the one character I think I was most shocked about with this whole series, with this whole final sort of series here, was Siobhan. I mean, because Siobhan, somebody had mentioned to John last night, was Siobhan has heard this from Victoria, Carolyn, and Maggie, especially, about they just downgrade her dad right in front of her. Even David, her own husband, does this. And I think, by this series, she's just had enough of them doing it. And, so I was a bit surprised at her that she sort of displayed this sort of full blown attitude, but a good way though too. It's about time she started receipting somebody, and she sort of does. She sort of stands her ground with them, and no, enough's enough. Enough bad talk about my dad, the guy that raised her. Because something I was saying to John last night, I was like, I was like, even though Quinn is Julia Hoffman's biological daughter, Siobhan is much like Julia as Quinn is in many ways. And he's like, right, And we were talking about that, and it, listen, it was a real pleasure having him on. Um, I do want to get him on again, and I won't mess up next time, and maybe Skype won't drop the call. Um, but I really enjoyed bringing him on, and this has just been fun to go back to go and review these series. I'm gonna do a revisited tour, but for this final chapter here, I think the introduction of India is amazing. These character introductions have been smooth. Just he slides them in there so well, and India being introduced, as an actual person in this chapter. Well, more, sorry, last chapter she was introduced, chapter 9. But she gets to meet David and talk to them and stuff. And finally, they tell her about Barnabas. And all in the meantime, Barnabas has went back to the other side. He has said goodbye to Victoria, to Carolyn, to Julia. He has apologized to them. He gave his onyx ring to Carolyn and to give to Claudia. And here's India, who meets, Siobhan for the first time and meets Julia Hoffman, and they're sort of apprehensive. And Julia tells her, if you ever just want to know the family history, come find me. and she's meeting in that present day. And it's when she gets to the foyer, she touches Barnabas's portrait, which sort of gives her a psychic link to Barnabas, and causes her to have. He gives her the onyx ring, and puts it on like a necklace on her, without her realizing it at first. And the lighthouse as well causes her to go back in time to the very beginning with Victoria Winters, the day Victoria Winters showed up at Collinwood. And my thought was one thing: all those lies that they've told. Here's India; she believes this, or that, and a lot of it's a lie. A lot of it's bullshit. So those lies could literally now catch up with the Collins family. Them not being completely upfront. What you knew, what you actually know, you know, what someone tells you and what you think you know may not always be the truth. And that's one thing I think that was definitely mind blowing. Not just the twist itself of her going back, but that itself, knowing Indy is in some deep, deep shit. Because who do you trust? Who do you go to? Is she going to go to Julia Hoffman? So it's going to be so interesting to see if when he brings us back, and I hope he does. I'm a huge Dark Shadows fan, and I enjoyed this up and down all around. I can't wait to do the Revisited tour. And the one thing I take away from this chapter most is I don't feel a lot of these characters were saying goodbye so much as they were sort of saying hello all over again. The one character I really was getting into was Granger, and even John was saying he wished he would have done more with him. But I get you sort of do need to kill the character off, just to have sort of some sort of consequence for what he did. He did play off of a lot of people's emotions. I feel he was more obsessed by life and death more so than what Gabriel was. Gabriel was more, you know, each character is their own with John, with John's writing, with his story. And that's what I'll say is that Gabriel was his own character, Granger was his own character. Everybody literally tried to be themselves, for all of this, and that's what I found amazing too. So he puts so much into each of these characters. So it's going to be really interesting to see what he comes back with and what he's going to bring us. So I'm just excited, guys, if you can tell. And I really, really have enjoyed this. And obviously, you guys know a link will be in the description box. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Let's see, Gabriel, David, Siobhan, Carolyn, Barnabas. I think I've covered it all. And Quinn and Gabriel were in a relationship, obviously, which was an easy transition considering everything they've gone through, and Quinn's gone through herself. And I love the fact that Julia Hoffman and Quinn, finally came together. That was a huge emotional moment, obviously, as I've said before. I've just had a ball reading these and reviewing these, and I cannot wait to go back again. I hope that you guys will go back too. This is one hell of a story. Obviously, I want to thank John Philip Betancourt for joining me twice, letting me interview him. That was an honor, because when I started reading, I'm like, wow, this is really good. And so you always do want to talk to the writer of something that's so good and it's so well written and really laid laid out. So I can't wait to go back and revisit these. This is going to be fun. Hope you guys enjoyed this review. Like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.